with Jimmy Bilbrey, and he's going to tell us a little bit about some of these CDs we see on the wall next to Elvis.
That's the centerpiece of the studio, obviously. It's the bigger picture. But down here we have had a Christmas song recorded by Jack Green, the legendary drummer with Ernest Tubb. It's a song called Red, White, Blue Christmas. And he performed it at the Opry several times and got a standing ovation every time. And so that was a blessing. And then we had, this is the Bilbrey CD back in 2004. Our band made a CD. And that was a blessing too. We're working on a gospel CD right now here. And here at 2014, I didn't want to saturate the public too much with our product. So 14 years later, we're coming out with a gospel CD. The problem is we don't have very many return customers because they've moved on to the different, they've gone on. So we've got to find a whole new clientele. And then there's Carrie Hassler. She recorded 2 of our songs. One called Hard Rain. I actually named her band at that time. One of her band members called me and said, hey, we're looking for a name for the band. And I just said, Hard Rain. And so he said, I'll call you back. And they called me back and said, that's it. So she called her band Carrie Hassler and Hard Rain. And so we wrote a song, me and my buddy, called Hard Rain. And then the other song she did was a song called 7 Miles from Wichita. And it went to number 5 on the Bluegrass Unlimited Bluegrass chart. That was her debut single. And it went, it was played we still get royalties from that song. And so that was a real neat thing. And then here is my CD that I did in 2009, my first country CD, all original music. And that was a 27-year project in the works that finally came to fruition. So that was a blessing too. And then at the top is the most recent one. My dad and I wrote a song called Wonderful Day. It's a gospel song. He gave me these 3 little spiral bound sheets about 4 years ago now. And I found them, one day and started working with them. And it came out to be that song. And I sent it to Dole through his dobro player. And he played it for him, and that very day he emailed me back and said he loves it and wants to put it on the next gospel CD. So they did. And it was up for a Grammy last year. So as they say, it was an honor to be nominated. But it would have been much better if we'd have won. But anyway, I'm more proud of that. And then, of course, that's a grand award for when I was filling in for Sam when he was away. And so they gave me that. And
you're now the permanent host of the Sutton's Old Time Music Hour.
Yeah, Sutton, no S.
Sutton Old Time Music Hour.
OLE, yeah. And I'm really honored to be there. I'm honored Sam Stout did some wonderful, wonderful work setting that up and in its beginnings. And so there's some big shoes to fill there, but I'm enjoying the people and everything that goes into that.
Do you do the booking?
Yes, I'm a bookie.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. It's a wonderful setting for roots music.
It is. It's really wonderful. And we try to get there's a lot of variety that we're bringing down there too. We're getting some bigger name acts, but we're also looking for some people that are not middle of the road, but just have a little different flavor. There was one band that came down there, and they're called Ida Clare. IDACLARE. And they were just fresh, wonderful singers and players, and had a lot of original music. The mandolin player writes most of their music, and it was just something different, a little something different. And so I like that too, rather than the same. You can get into hearing the same songs every weekend, the standards. So when you get somebody that's just a little different with the same instrumentation, it brings a breath of fresh air to the show. So something for everybody. We've got a band coming called Foxfire Newgrass, and they have bluegrass instruments, but they do 50s and 60s music in bluegrass style, and they do a wonderful, wonderful job, and they're wonderful entertainers. If you ever see them, they're a visual act as well as an audio act, because they'll put on the bass player puts on the Willie Nelson thing, and and the mandolin player puts on a dress. They do Johnny and June. You know, it's just a scream. So if you ever get to see the Foxfire Newgrass, they'll be there in August, I think. No, July. They'll be in July. So they're a good group. So we try to get. We listen to them beforehand, you know, and because sometimes Sam was telling me some stories when they didn't get to listen to them beforehand, and they got some pretty quick critiques on it. That's the worst band I've ever heard. So he said, "You'll have that." He told me that. He said, "You'll have that at some point," but I'm trying to keep from it because we want to get the best, you know, the top as proficient as we can. But there's also the element of entertainment. You want people that can play well but can entertain an audience. You get some bands that are fantastic musicians, but they're just like a dead fish. They just don't have that audience. They don't joke. They don't get the audience engaged. And the bands that have the most success are the ones that can play great music and entertain. That's the key. If you can entertain and play, you don't have to be great music. If you can play good music and entertain, you're a success.
And how do you evaluate success in terms of your own career? Are you pleased with its progression? Do you want to see a greater impact in your career than what you've had to date? How do you gauge success?
Well, success to me is doing what I feel like I'm called to do. I worked at the hospital for 11 and a half years, and just wasn't in my niche. You know, they say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I don't feel like I work in a sense of toil. It's all pertaining to my gift, and I love that. I teach, I sing, I write, I record. All of these things are from the same well. And so success to me is doing what I feel like I was called to do, and the enjoyment of that. Monetary, that's nice too, but getting the recognition for a song that I wrote, you know, people enjoying things that I create, people enjoy the shows when we go out and play. Those things are money can't buy that. You know, that's the best part about it, and I can do it here. There's a balance with church, band, the different places I teach, all the different facets, the hosting the show. That I try to keep that balance, and family, you know, if that balance gets off, if any one thing gets larger than it should be in the mix of things, then there's an upset. So I really work to keep every area improving, but any one area can't overshadow another, because there's only so many days in a week, you know, so many hours in a day. So I have to keep that balance. Everything has to be in its. And so people say, why don't you go on the road with us, play fiddle? Why don't you do this? Why don't you? It would upset the balance. If I can do it here, if I can do all of the different things that I'm doing here, that's what I like. I don't want to give up any facet of what I do. I'd have to leave my church. I don't want to do that to go on the road. I'd have to put this on hold. Everything that I am here would change, and I like where I am.
Our Australian readers will find the conservative Christianity a little bit mystifying to them. Tell us a little bit about your faith and how, because it appears that church is an important part of your life.
Oh, absolutely. That is, they pay me to do that job as ministry of music, but I do it for nothing, because that's just where I am. I'm rooted in the Gospels, in my mother. Particularly, she's in the hospital now, have some dire issues. She has been the most influential in my life as far as me learning about Jesus, you know, and getting saved. And so I attribute that to her. Her sisters would come. There were like 9, 10 people in her family, children. And so they all would come to the family reunion, and they'd sing How Great Thou Art and all those old hymns. And it just, you know, as growing up with that. And so now I do the same thing. And I love being ministry of music. Been there 20 years, and love to sing those old gospel. Write many of the songs we play at church. And got saved when I was about 15, and haven't looked back. The only regret I have is that I didn't get saved sooner because everything changed. I mean, it wasn't immediate, but I grew into that, and still growing and enjoying that so much. That's my singing at church is nourishes the soul, and I just enjoy that so much.
Wonderful. Let's talk about your recording studio here. How much time do you put in? What kinds of equipment? What can you or can you not do here in this studio?
I was going to tell you just a minute. The songs that I'm most proud of are there's God impressed upon me at one night to write a song called "Chance of a Lifetime." I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I came back from Nashville. To make a long story short, I came back from Nashville with a writing appointment, and I was getting ready to go to bed, and so I had this song idea called "Chance of a Lifetime," and I wanted it to be about abortion, just from the baby's point of view. Wish I'd had the chance of a lifetime, and so I started to go to bed, and all of a sudden the first line came, and I wrote it down, and I thought, I'll finish that tomorrow. Well, I laid down to I developed the worst headache at that moment that I've ever had before or since. Blinding. And so I got up and took some medicine, went back to bed, and as soon as I closed my eyes, it felt like somebody hit me in the head with a baseball bat. I mean, it was that dramatic. My eyes flew open. I was just stunned, and I didn't have nothing to write on or a guitar in my hands, nothing. And this song starts coming, line by line, just fast as I could write it down. I didn't know where it was going. It was just, somebody else was guiding the pen. And so the melody was there, but I thought it was simple. I evaluated it immediately, thought it was too simple. I'll change that tomorrow. So 12 o'clock exactly, I looked at the clock. It was 10 o'clock when I started. 12 o'clock exactly, headache is gone immediately. And the song is done, 99%. And so the next day, I woke up the next morning, and when my eyes flew open, when I woke up, that melody was right in my face. So I knew it had to be that melody that I thought was too simple. So I put that melody on it. I put it in a drawer to let it rest, to get away from it for a few days so I could come back with a fresh perspective. So that was on a Tuesday night. That following Saturday, I arranged some of the things a little differently and added one chord, and it was done. And so that very next day at church, I practiced it in the nursery before I sang it, and I wrote down every time. And so I got out there during the special music segment, and I sang it, and it paralyzed the service. People were weeping openly. It was just an amazing power of a song. And the preacher told me later, he said, I didn't think I was going to be able to preach because of the emotional upheaval that it caused. So I sent it to, we've given away 600 copies of that song here. People come here to get it. And I sent it to Sun 90.9, Somerset, Kentucky. They play it almost every day. And especially around the pro-life, drives and things. And the first time it was played up there, the Kentucky State Representative, a woman, called, and she was livid. You can't tell me what to do with my body, all these things. And the song is not graphic and it's not judgmental, but she reacted. And so after that, 30 or 40 people called in supporting it. So it was a firestorm. And I went down to a women's conference right down here at the community center soon after that, and we gave away 50 copies in about 15 minutes. So I've never charged. It's just a ministry that I've been given. And then since then, I wrote another one, and God is doing something with the CH, because it's Chance of a Lifetime. When did I go from a child to a choice? That's the second one. And then the other one is Choose Life, and they're all three up at that radio station, and they play them. People call me all the time or text me and say, I heard your song on 90.9, and I'm, praise the Lord, I hope it saves lives. So that's just something else that's going on behind the scenes. The next one is called Change Her Mind. So there's something going on with the CH that I'm not aware of, but that's what I've been impressed to do. So I just wanted to interject that there. those songs are precious. Those gospel songs that I am impressed with.